I'm enjoying our next author. Now a new take on divorce. More couples file for divorce in early January than at any other time throughout the year. But we're about to hear from a judge who says that things do not have to get ugly. And when they do not, both parties save time, they save money, they save their sanity. Judge Michele Lowrance has written a book called The Good Karma Divorce. And she's with us this morning. It's very nice to meet you.
Nice to be here.
I'm very well. I'm very well. Thank you for asking. Okay, family court judge, former divorce attorney, so you know a lot about divorces. And the reason people file, I would imagine now, is because you want to get through the holidays first?
You do want to get through the holidays, and if you spend a difficult holiday with your spouse, it sort of accentuates the fact that your marriage is not working, because you think at least the holiday should make it better. And when it doesn't, they run off to the lawyers in January.
They then know, okay, it is time. And when you see karma, you know, you think about, of course, you want to, in anything in life, you want to. It's about choices, and you want to be positive, and you want it to be. But it's difficult when it comes to divorce. We're talking anger, we're talking resentment, but you're saying to have grace and poise. How do you go about doing that through a difficult time?
Well, divorce is probably the worst nightmare anybody would go through. And to have grace and poise means you're going to be making choices every single day to protect yourself, your soul, or your children. The karma part is what you do with those choices, because every choice is ultimately going to set down the track for what your future is going to become.
And you also say, which I think a lot of people don't realize this who are going through a divorce, that even simple acts of compromise, because you're the judge, and when you see that one party is just at least trying to compromise, that sends you a big message as the judge. What does it send you?
Well, it does. You know, people don't realize that the judges see a lot more than they think. We watch very closely for who is enjoying the conflict and who is really trying to make the compromise. Sort of, when there's children, sort of a Solomon's. Who is really interested in less about themselves and more about the children? We notice all of that.
Speaks volumes, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. And we notice also who is resisting the divorce and dragging the case out. Now, I'm not saying that I don't blame people.
Sure.
People are in a lot of pain. And letting go of a family unit, which is so defining, is hard.
You keep bringing up the family unit because you know a lot of people say, oh, children, they're resilient. They'll bounce back easy from this. And you're saying, wait a minute, you don't buy into that. And you are a child of divorce, and you have gone through a divorce, and your child was, what, 5 years old when you divorced?
That's right.
So why are you saying they're not as resilient as we think?
Oh, well, I've done a lot of work. Their resiliency is not necessarily automatic, but people stand in front of me, couples stand in front of me. They say, I love my children, I love my children. I would never do anything to hurt them, and yet their behavior is not consistent with their desires. It took me years to realize that people would never intentionally hurt them. Well, some would never intentionally, but what you need is upgraded parenting skills. I call heroic parenting, because the normal, conventional wisdom is really not enough for what the children are going through.
So truly talk to them. What did you say to your son? He was 5 years old when you were going through your divorce.
Actually, Robin, I don't think I did it right.
Oh.
Because I now believe, having marinated in the whole subject for so many years, that you tell a child over and over and over again, commensurate with their age, what happened and why it wasn't their fault. My son was 5 to 10, maybe 11 years old. They take the blame. They always think it's their fault. I wrote this book because this boy, not my son, but in court, this little boy was sitting there, 10 years old. He looked like 3. He was so tiny, and he said, if only I was dead, my parents could stop fighting, because they're always fighting about me, and if I wasn't there...
He thought it was his fault.
Of course he thought it was his fault. And there's a little piece of that in every child going through divorce.
Sure. In the remaining seconds that we have, suggestions on, if you're going through a divorce, what you should do so you don't have to go to court. It costs $30,000 on average to go through a divorce through court, and it costs much more than that. It's not just the money, it's the emotional toll. So what can they do?
Court is the last place you want to go, because people believe that the court delivers emotional justice, and vindication. It does not. You can't. You must manage your reactivity, downgrade your anger, and there's all kinds of skills for it, skills we don't know. But remember, if you make a mess of your case and then you come to court, the court has a gavel, not a magic wand, and it can't do all that damage. Don't put your life in our hands to fix. Keep it in your own hands.
All right, Michele, I wish we had more time to talk, but I'm telling you, you have great suggestions here in your book, The Good Karma Divorce. So thank you
so much,
Michele. I'm going to tell people you can read an excerpt of the book at abcnews.com/books and get more of her vital information for you if you're in need.